What is up, rockers of the Rock Nation? This is your fellow rocker, ex-Rockerman here, back with, well, my Survivor Series review is up as of Sunday night. I watched Survivor Series, so yeah, as I promised, I would find a way to do my Walking Dead review this week for y'all. And hey, I stay up till like 2:30 in the morning just to do it for you guys, so hey, what can I say? I keep my promise in a way. For some reason, I'm rhyming like some bitch now. But anyway, yeah. And I'm sorry if this one's a little shorter, too, because there ain't that much to talk about with this one, per se. I mean, there is a lot, but it's just, I'm going... The way this episode is set up, you kind of have to talk about the individual groups of what happened to them all at once. Like, you have... You'll see what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, Walking Dead review. Episode 7 of Season 5, Crossed. Which, for some reason, I thought it was Crossing, but apparently it's Crossed. But yeah. This episode, really, I actually do like how, as I said before, I liked how it focused on one group at a time, but I guess next week is mid-season finale, and I'm playing with my hat again so much right now, I'm trying to fix my hair, but I guess it makes sense, since next week is the mid-season finale, it would make sense to screw it, I'm just going to do this. No, sorry, I have to put it back like this, I'm sorry, but anyway, yeah. Next week being the mid-season finale, yeah, I can understand why they're focused on every single group in order now, or in certain order now, but yeah. But first, I don't know who to talk about first. You know, let's talk about Gabriel's group. Well, not really Gabriel's group, but more of whenever Rick and that part of the group leaves to go, as we know, get Carol and Beth back. Well, here we see... I'm going to talk about more Gabriel's perspective here, too, for the most part, but Gabriel, to me, is going... I want to say a little bit crazy, because where he's witnessed Rick's group take wood off the church, chop up the pews, I think they took the cross, I don't remember, stuff like that, and now he is not pastor, I want to say preacher, or whatever you put it, of this church. And, of course, he is this godlike man, supposedly. To me, I think he's going crazy. Especially when he sees that, and when the group leaves, when he comes back, or not comes back, but Judith is crying, and a freaking Michonne stays behind, or pretty much take care of Judith, and, of course, Carl. Because we all know, Carl is a man, basically, now, but still. But Michonne and Carl was boarding up the church door to keep them safe, Judah safe, stuff like that. Gabriel comes back and starts trying to clean the blood off. Now, yeah, I understand it's a church, and he was upset about that in the first place anyway, about the blood from Gareth being in the church. But you can tell he's literally obsessed with it. He's literally obsessed with his bloodstain, trying to clean because he's there for God knows how long, and then him overlooking the carving on the side of the church that you'll burn for this. Really, I think in a way too, he's also torn about, after seeing more about Rick's group and stuff like that, he's probably also, what's the word I'm looking for here? He regrets his decision in a way for letting him stay, and also where he himself feels like he's a murderer and a thief and stuff like that. And as well as Rick, he's like... As later on after this, we see Carl trying to help Gabriel out, let him choose a weapon, stuff like that. And he's like, there's murderers and thieves out there, and Gabriel's like, we all are, and all that. So you can tell he's kind of whacked out right now. But he picks up the machete, and Carl's like, oh, you're holding on, you have to thrust it down because it's how some assault there or whatever. But really, and I keep doing this tonight too, but really, if you ask me too, he already knew what he was doing, if you ask me. On top of that, you can tell Michonne was kind of concerned for him, I guess you could say. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like But throughout all this, after Michonne checks on him, he says he has to go lie down. When he takes a machete, you really think he's going to off himself or something, but he doesn't off himself. He basically has a secret exit in the church that he used. Because he pried up the wood in the floorboard, he escaped the church. And also what I also found kind of funny, or not funny, but I did find at least one biblical thing in here, is when he had the nail in his foot. Of course, we all know Gabriel being a religious man. Of course, anyone who studies religion knows Jesus had his feet and hands nailed to the cross. And, of course, Gabriel had the nail stuck in his foot. So, kind of a religious thing, if you ask me there. That was. I don't think it was, but if you ask me, it kind of was. But then here we have him escaping the church, or I wouldn't call it escaping, per se. But you kind of wonder what he's doing now, why he decided to leave secretly. To me, it seems like when he comes across a walker, that one walker, and he knocks it out of the way, you can kind of tell he has some sort of... You can tell Gabriel isn't as helpless as we think he is. Because he does have some sort of knowledge of the walkers and how to not get killed by him when he's out scavenging or something. But you still wonder, though, if he can actually kill him or not. Because, of course, thou shalt not kill is a commandment. But in this world, in the zombie apocalypse, you basically have to survive. But, of course, when he sees the girl with the cross, the girl with the cross, it's all like he knows almost every walker, too. That's a fucked up part. But you kind of wonder if he can kill it or not, and, of course, he doesn't kill it. But from what I can think Gabriel's actually doing is he's trying to go out in the world a little bit and attempt to get his hands dirty. Just so that way, maybe if he ends up staying with Rick in the group, he might be able to be of some help, but you never really know for sure. And then, of course, you have Michonne and Carl staying behind, but they don't really show them that much except for those few scenes. So, but overall, I think they have things handled for what they did. And then, and then we have next group I want to talk about. I think there was there's 4 groups, so I don't remember. But I'm trying not to ruin anything, so for now, let's talk about Beth and Carol in the hospital. Now, with this, you kind of wonder, really, what's happening in the hospital. And I even thought this when I was watching it, is we all know that a while back, so many episodes back, I actually thought that the cops are all bad. Well, here's from what I can think. Not all the cops are bad. Even Noah says he's a good one. But we know how that turns out, or at least from one of them. But you kind of wonder how, as I'm thinking, you kind of wonder if there really is a fine line split between the good cops and the bad cops. Now, obviously, you can tell not all of them are bad. There's a few, probably at least some of the bad ones are dead now. And of course, Dawn, for a minute, I thought she was bad, but right now I think she's in between. Because she did help Beth. But you never know for sure really what's going to happen in the show. But with the cops being good or bad, split down the middle, of course, I'm thinking of... Well, for that, I'm already going to slide into Rick's group, but no. Not going to do that. But with Beth at the hospital. We all know Dawn disobeys I want to say not disobeys, but embarrasses. And yeah, pretty much in a way it is disobeying the cops. Dawn and whichever one the other one was, she goes off on this small rant about how this hospital has electricity, blah blah blah. And of course, she's talking about Carol, trying to keep Carol alive because it's Carol. We all want to see Carol remain alive. But Dawn says, "Do it. Tell the doctor to pull the plug, and take him off his rounds. Pull the plug, stuff like that." But then Dawn turns around and gives her the key to the medicine storage, and you wonder why Dawn really did. Because in a way, Dawn, I don't think she has it. From what supposedly she's OCD. but in a way too, where she's losing power too as well. You kind of wonder if she's making things up as she goes along, because as they said on Talking Dead, she does one thing, but in her mind saying, "Oh my God, what did I just do? Blah blah. I have to do this now." In a way, I can kind of see that, but you never really know for sure. And then when it comes down time to it, you see Beth talking to the doctor, which I completely always forget his name. I don't know why. I don't think they mentioned in this episode, but I don't know his name, and I'm sorry about that. But you have where she's talking to, or Beth talking to him, and he's like, Carol's like, that woman, when she's talking to Carol, she refers to that woman, blah, blah, what medicine would you use? And whatever it's called is this weird medicine that starts with an E. But the doctor's like, you have the key, don't you? Did you steal it, or did she give it to you? And if she stole it, she didn't judge kinds of hard. And then she goes on like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, sorry. But anyway, she goes on to say, even so, what would you use? And he tells her, and then the doctor's also like, basically in so many words, like, I kill because I thought I was at threat. I killed because I feel like my life's at threat. And in a way, he's kind of regretting that, so I really can't say much about that. But and as we get more onto this, you kind of wonder, though, too, here, at least, if Beth really, I mean, in a way she knows, of course it's Beth, so you know she knows what she's doing. But you also kind of wonder if, and this is what I found funny, is where she paid off the one hospitalized, in quotes, that one older dude, paid him off with strawberries for to help in order for her to steal drugs. Pay off with strawberries to steal drugs. That's kind of funny if you ask me. But I said it, and I wonder what the significance of the strawberries were. But sorry for the pause, but I actually do wonder, though, what the strawberries for the pause was. Significance of strawberries, of course, she gets the drugs. Well, then after that, she goes into Beth goes into Carol. She gives Carol the medicine needed, or supposedly needed. And from what Carol isn't really in a coma, but she's in to me, she's in a comatose-like state, to use correct terms. And really, the best thing, they're talking to her, holding her hand, and from what I know, and from what I've researched, or not researched, but from what I've heard about and looked up, if someone's in a comatose-like state, and if someone's there holding your hand, or not so much holding your hand, but sitting there talking to you, because we know Beth talks to Carol, saying, Carol, I want you to know it's Beth, and I'm here, will draw a person out of that kind of state quickly, or not quickly, but will somewhat draw the person out of it faster. Or at least from what I've seen and stuff like that. I don't know if it's true, but in a way though, I want to see where this goes with Beth and Carol, because of course, Mrs. Vanelli, something's going to happen, but still, because Carol, I honestly don't want to die. Beth, I don't want to die. Some of the cops can go to hell. Others can't. Others, I say, good. They're good, stuff like that. And, of course, the people in the hospital, I feel like they should be let go as well. That's hospitalized. But other than that, really good storyline telling with that. One more group. There's two more groups. I think we're going to talk about now. Let's talk about Glenn and all them. Now, with this one, and I take a drink about it every time I start a new one. But this group, Glenn, Tara, Maggie, Abraham, Eugene. Now, at the beginning of them showing the group, you can tell that they're all concerned over Eugene, whether he's dead or not, whether he's just unconscious, whatever. But then you also have Abraham, where Rosita's talking and Rosita, what I like about Rosita right now, she's actually taking charge in front of Abraham. And right now, I think she's at that point where if she was able to, or have the opportunity to kind of take control of the group, I think she would. as I said on Talking Dead, I think that, as I said on Talking Dead, she probably would. I think she would too, just from the way she's acting. Taking charge of Abraham, saying, look at me, blah, blah, stuff like that. And then, of course, when Abraham gets up, he does something stupid, or he almost does something stupid. And there's Maggie saying, sit down or I shoot you with the gun, pointing at Abraham. And at that point, you kind of would think Abraham would just stand there and be like, say, shoot me, or something in that format. But he sat back down, so in a way, he still has a little bit of hope left. And that comes into play later on. At least you think he has a little bit of hope left. But really, too, you can also tell there's somewhat of a bonding between everyone, because Tara, they're talking about, because at the point, Tara, Glenn, and Maggie are out scouting for stuff, and they're talking about Eugene. And at one point, Tara's like, should you really be mad at a man for using the skills he has to survive? And Glenn's like, yes. And I can understand where it's coming from. But by the end, though, everybody seems to be coming together, or that group in general seems to be coming together in a way, too. In a bonding thing. Because you have Glenn, Tara, and Rosita together. Or they're bonding. Especially Glenn and Tara, or not Glenn and Tara, but Glenn and Rosita when they're fishing. And that's actually kind of a little more of a lighthearted scene in the series, or in the season so far, which I'm kind of glad about, actually. But then you also have people like, of course, when Tara finds a yo-yo, which is kind of funny, Glenn's like, don't even look at it. But then you also have Maggie near this point, too, where she's like talking to Abraham. She's like, he wants the water, you know you're thirsty, and all that. And then she's like, why would you? She's like, something about the shooting Abraham, she says. I forget what it was. And Abraham specifically says, like, I thought it did, but I thought I wanted you to, but I didn't. So Abraham, he is gaining some hope back, especially when he's actually talking now and he grabs the water, stuff like that. So you can tell he's kind of coming back a little bit. And then when he hears Eugene, you wonder what he's going to do, because then Maggie runs to check on Eugene. But you kind of wonder if Eugene's still going to be with them, if they're still going to help Eugene, if he can't fight, which from what he shows he can. Is he actually going to be able to try to do stuff now, which we know he can from stuff he done. Will Abraham forgive him and actually thank him for giving him a reason to live on? Whatever. But really, you can tell this group in general, like I said, Glenn, Maggie, Abraham, Rosita, Tara, and Eugene, 6. Yeah, there's 6 of them. Are really coming to a bonding format together where they're more glued and stuck together. So there's that. Now let's talk about the last group. Technically the last group, but still. Sadly, that was the last of my Hawaiian Punch. But anyway. We have Rick's group. Or as I usually refer to as Rick's group. Now, Rick in the beginning, you can kind of tell he was kind of deciding whether or not to go get Carol, but he did decide anyway, because he wouldn't know about it. But then from there, though, shit just went downhill, in a way. Well, not really downhill, but now Rick seems to be a little bit more drastic with his reasoning, stuff like that. Now, I can perfectly understand why. Terminus, the governor, other stuff they had to go through, stuff like that. Not being able to trust many people. So from there, you sort of wonder what's ticking in his head right now. Because he's talking like, oh, this plan, because his plan that he made, he's going and silently shooting him, stuff like that. Now, trying to get in there by force, but also silently. And then Tyrese decides, hey, well, why don't we do the hostages? Of course, Rick's like, that plan may work, but he's basically like, yeah, your plan may work, but my plan will work. And then Daryl's like, sides with Tyrese, I'm like, no, why don't we do Tyrese's? And again, you can tell Daryl and Tyrese in a way. Tyrese, to me, is like the voice of reasoning in a way, but also Daryl, from what experiences he's been through, it's always better to do certain things certain ways. And he's taking his experiences as well as everybody. He's kind of taking their experiences, deciding, hey, this is how we do it. But when it comes to both of the plans, that's really what I'm talking about. They're both smart in a way. I mean, yeah, they're both smart, but you kind of wonder which plan was actually which right way to go. Oh shit, my hat. But then from there point on, we actually get to the part where they use Noah as a freaking, where they use Noah as bait, which actually was, now that part was smart. But then, of course, now the best part. But then they capture him, they get ambushed by the other cop. I think that was the Bob cop. I'm not for sure. Maybe it was a good one. I don't remember. Or Bob 2. That's a good way of putting it. But the best part, by far, or the most gruesome scene, was the melted streetwalkers. Who knows? It could have been hookers. Who knows? But anyway. And especially when Daryl just takes the finger holes and pokes it and hits them in their head and the spine detached, stuff like that. That is a holy shit moment. But that was the best scene, if you ask me. But then they finally get the cop, and of course, Rick wants to shoot him. But then Daryl tells him, "Hold up. Three's better than two," and that's actually in a hostage situation. Yeah, the more hostages you have, probably the more demands you can probably get out of people. But as I said, you don't know who's playing right, who's left. So you can really tell Rick, and you can really tell that Rick lately has been needed to be calmed down by people. So there you go. But also, and besides all that though, another thing I want to talk about is Tyrese and Sasha. Now, as we all know, Sasha lost basically her boyfriend Bob. The original Bob, that's part of Rick Group, not the cop Bob or Bob 2. But from there, you kind of, and you can tell she's really taking it hard. But then you have Tyrese stepping in, being a voice of reason for her, while saying, "Let me help you." And Tyrese, being perfectly honest, even though from all he's been through, especially after the girls, I don't think he's going to lose I don't think he, I mean, yeah, he had opinion from him what was going to happen, but he's probably, but he has humanity left. And I think in a zombie apocalypse, the best thing to keep your humanity. Even if you have to done bad things, everybody's done bad things by this point. But, and of course, this heals Sasha a little bit. And apparently, the actor who plays Sasha, she's pregnant as well. And in a way, I kind of wonder how this might tie into the show. I doubt it will, but you never know. But anyway, back on that. Again, Tyrese healed Sasha, and blah blah blah. And when they're back at the warehouse, talking to Bob 2 or the cop Bob or the Bob cop or whatever you want to say. And of course, he talks to Rick, tell him, "Hey, how did you negotiate with Don?" Maybe he was lying, maybe he wasn't. But here's the thing too: Sasha was willing. Maybe because his name was Bob, and as the actor said, I'm talking to it. It may have been some kind of spiritual thing that Bob was talking to him from beyond the grave, or however you want to put it. But you wonder. You sit there and you listen to the cop's story, or Bob 2's story. And Sasha, she has this I don't want to say overwhelming, but her eyes open up to new things, as like Tyrese has opened up her eyes to new ways and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Now that cop story, though, you kind of wonder if it's true or not. I mean, it could be, but you never know. Because he tells them my friend was melted, blah, blah, blah. Even though people probably know it probably becomes a good-ass lie, too. But Sasha goes to get ready to shoot him. And, of course, freaking... and here's the thing, too. When you have a hostage like that, you kind of... From what I know, you kind of always have to keep in your proverbial vision, whatever you want to say. And really, too, I kind of knew something was up, especially when the cop rammed Sasha, hit her in the window, she fell to the ground, and the cop started running. Now, another thing, Bob, too, here's the thing. I think, honestly, he, as they said, I'm talking to it as well, because I get my opinions from them and kind of expand on it, too. But I also think he was just trying to escape. Because here's the thing, he probably would have killed Sasha if he's actually trying to harm her. I think he was just trying to escape, so there you go. But with all the groups spread out, or I won't say groups, but with every part of Rick's group and everybody just spread out and separated in that whole world and stuff like that. You really wonder what's actually going to happen, especially next week with the mid-season finale. And also, before I mentioned the melted streetwalkers too, kind of ironic how they did that. Because some of them are actually real people. But here's the thing, you kind of really shows how and that was the effects of the napalm bombing. But you kind of wonder how you really see during the zombie apocalypse, however many years it's been. I always forget how many years it's actually been in the Walking Dead universe. I mean, season 5, so I don't know. But anyway, really you see how deteriorated the world is now, especially with all the new walkers coming in and stuff like that. So yeah. But that's really all I gotta talk about in this episode. Just talking about the separated groups, and really it was a pretty, for what it was a damn good episode. And I kind of think I actually don't really have a rating for it this time around. I just liked the episode a lot. But if I have to give it a rating, I would end up probably giving it a 5, like I have been for majority of my episodes. Give it a 5-star rating. Maybe that's like I always say, it's because I'm biased, but I don't know. But anyway, yeah, 5-star rating. But yeah, you guys can like the video, comment on the video or any of my videos on my channel. Subscribe to the channel if you're new rocker to the Rock Nation. That's only if you want to, though. You know, it would be much appreciated. Also, Facebook and Twitter in the description. You can like the page or follow me. And yeah, until next time, rockers, live free and rock.